So silly me, here I was thinking maybe we were going to get a slower episode because the last couple of episodes, flashback, holy shit, that was just depression and a half. I was thinking maybe this episode will come down. Obviously, it's not going to be sunshine and rainbows after story time like that, but maybe, just maybe, they'll let us catch our breath. And to be honest, they kind of did that. I mean, there was some reunions I wasn't quite expecting, nor was I expecting them to be, I guess, quite as comedic as they turned out to be. But all things considered, it wasn't too explosive until like the last 5 minutes. Like, yes, it's technically explosive in terms of character interactions, but not to the same degree of characters ripping arms off or seeing the eternity of torture that mother and daughter duo has to go through. So, for me, I was like, okay, I thought it was a fool's wish to hope for some downtime, but maybe we actually are getting it, because unlike a lot of shows where 7 days between episodes, if you're watching weekly, is a good breathing room, and sometimes you wish it would come sooner, I've seen more Made in Abyss fans say 7 days isn't enough to catch our breath and regroup after what we see half the time. So, to see an episode, I thought about to just ease me into the whatever the end goal would be. I heard the last episode is supposed to be double length, so you know you're getting some crazy stuff. And then instead, they said, nope, this girl's rage has finally been free. Imagine being born from your mother's rage and sorrow, seeing what happened to your siblings, seeing these peering eyes at you for day in and day out. You're basically regarded as this immortal princess, and all you can think of is hate and pain. Like, that's all she experiences. And when the incinerator goes off and she is free, there is nothing that is going to survive her wrath. Now, saying like she's going to destroy this village kind of feels like common sense after the last couple of episodes. It's very much been clear that if she escapes, this village is screwed, and her escaping seemed like the only way for the arc to end. And I think, given the fact that they cut it off right as she's about to launch her attack, one would suspect that that means the villagers that were kind of glaring and, smiling, saying our savior, our immortal princess, I imagine they got cut apart. Because this is the thing where it's so worrying, not because I'm necessarily worried about the villagers, which there are select villagers that I've come to really appreciate. Like, Ma was a character I thought I would be fine with not seeing around. Turned out to be one of the all-stars of this arc, surprisingly. So there's definitely some characters I have connections to. But the thing that worries me is someone with that much rage, with that much sorrow, she's going to be blind. Fapta is going to not recognize what she's doing until it's done. Meaning that if characters like Nanachi, Reg, Rico got caught in the crossfire, it's entirely possible they could lose a limb or more. Now, as we see, she's very thankful to Reg for freeing her, and Reg, for him, it was basically the only way to keep himself alive, but in doing so, basically launched the apocalypse on this village. You would suspect that our Central 3 would be just fine as long as they stay out of her way. But someone whose entire task right now is to destroy this village, how do you stay out of the way of someone like that when the village, you're in it, not much of a plan of escape right now? Shit just ain't looking good, but it's going to be exciting nonetheless. What got me, actually, there was a very small moment, and it was when we have Rico kind of like talking to this man who, it's such a complex relationship as an anime watcher seeing. Like I said, I mean, if you're looking at it objectively in terms of their goal was to get to the Holy Land, he got the job done. It was a matter of the needs outweigh the few, sort of a thing. But as a person, I completely disagree with everything he did, and I would not want to be a part of this cult at all. But I thought it was so fascinating because when she gets asked, what do you think of me, basically, she's pretty much neutral on it. She heard from one perspective of what happened. Pretty damn horrifying. But I thought it was interesting. I actually thought she was going to push back more against the village because there's been a lot of moments where she or her pet have literally almost been stripped of their value. And I mean, that's a pretty violating moment, all things considered, but I guess with certain connections she's built, she's grown to like certain people in this village that she can't hate it as a whole, even if the past, in terms of how it came to operate, is a pretty damn nightmare-fueled story. The line that really got me, though, was when she basically says, you know what, like, here's the thing. You're a person who went for the Holy Land, went for the Golden City, but stopped at the entrance. And I thought it was fascinating because that was the least likely thing that she would say to this man, in my opinion, because what you look at, for them, they keep praising this as their Holy Land, the Golden City. They reached it. It was fine. So with that line in mind, that he stopped at the entrance, whether he lives or not remains to be seen. But it almost feels impossible for this arc not to end with the village destroyed, or at the very least the entrance destroyed so that some of them can continue on. Now, the big thing is how many can continue on when literally everyone is basically a target for this girl's rage. So that's a pretty interesting thought, because for me, like, the whole idea of this village probably getting toppled over seemed at least 50% likely that could happen, just because, well, I mean, having someone as clearly powerful that can rip her arm off and ask for head pass a moment later, I mean, it just feels likely that this could be enough to destroy the village. You have this walking apocalypse, which the whole idea of how it was formed with this horrible person who violated Vuko, and just the fact that it then turned into this, like, one of the three, like, that was a mind trip in itself. But to see it so powerful, so deadly, that it was devastating this entire city, to immediately, like, basically get one-shotted, it was pretty crazy, man. And this is what has me excited, because this show gets better as it progresses. It truly does. Like, loved season 1, movie Dawn of the Deep Soul, even better. What we're seeing in season 2 seems to be even better than before. And the deeper we go into this, the more twisted it truly feels, not just on a visual level, but more so on a narrative of how the Abyss truly changes people and what they'll do to survive. The thing that has always stole the show for me anyway has always been the music. Now, don't get me wrong, the past 3 episodes have felt like a movie visually. There are so many jaw-droppingly gorgeous directing choices, obvious animation techniques, the whole incinerator blast, that was insanely well done. You would have swore that was a movie scene for any other show. But the thing that has always got me is the soundtrack, which obviously, I mean, Kevin Penkin, everything the man touches, it turns to gold. But the thing that has always sold me on Made in Abyss ever since the beginning, even before I was like loving the central characters, was the music. It just sucked me into this world that felt so beautiful at surface level, but so horrifying the longer you got to know it. And to see an episode like this, the seamless transition to the ED, just the numerous pieces of music, or at times the way there's no music at all, and that just adds even more atmosphere. This show is masterclass at its directing, both on the visual and audio departments, and the pure pain and fear in characters' voices is insanely well done, man. Now, obviously we know shit's about to get violent, shit's about to get bloody, and probably more depressing. The big question is, how bad is it going to get before it potentially gives them a break so that they can try to make it get better, but we all know the deeper you go, the worse it gets. I don't know. It's going to be exciting. Another long wait, but honestly, 7 days is a good amount of time to catch your breath from Made in Abyss. It's just kind of crazy that you can have, like, seemingly like almost like an ex-girlfriend for Reg who can rip her arm off, give it to you so you can make an exchange to save your friend potentially, and then ask for head pats a moment later. It's just such a wild concept that only Made in Abyss could handle, but leave it to the show to just show us the things we never expect. But thoughts, feelings, theories, if you got any down below, leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you're new around here. Till next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.